Hey friends, welcome back to Coal Country Homestead. If you're new here, I'm Samantha,
I'm Zach.
and I'm currently on the sidelines for doing all things kitchen. Well, and most things. So Zachary is joining me today, and he's going to be helping me out, and we're going to be doing some of the normal things that I would do on a Sunday to make us have a successful week, to steward our produce, our food, our eggs, all of the things that don't necessarily get reported or shown or any of that. So I thought we would bring you along today, and then we plan on doing some cooking as well. So some of the things that we're going to do, I have some rotisserie chickens that I purchased as a quick, easy kind of dinner starter, and we are going to pick those and get those portioned for all the different recipes that we're going to do. We're going to prep tonight's dinner and actually cook that, which we're making a cheesy chicken broccoli rice casserole, which sounds so good. We're going to make one for now, one for later, so we're going to do a little meal prep with that. We may do another casserole depending on how much time we have. And then we are going to be improving. I impulse bought a lemon blueberry loaf kind of cake at Costco. It sounded so good. And in the first bite of it, I was so disappointed. So we are going to be trying to salvage that and dress that up a bit for a dessert for tonight. We also have to, of course, wash some eggs and just do some different things. So we thought we'd bring you along and chat along the way. What do you think?
Sounds good.
And I might put Zachary on the spot for a few questions as normal. Maybe he'll put me on the spot for some questions. We'll see. So we need to get some stuff out of the fridge and be right back. All right. So this is probably going to be like the hardest video that you will ever see me film because I am terrible at sitting on the sidelines. This might be like some women's like dream to have their husband or spouse doing all the work in the kitchen while they like just get to sit there. And this is like my worst nightmare. If you haven't figured out by now, I'm a bit of a control freak. And I like things the way I like things. So we ended up purchasing the rotisserie chickens, which if you're a member of like Sam's Club or Costco, I mean, you can't go wrong with getting a rotisserie chicken. I can't go to the grocery store and buy a raw whole chicken for the price that you pay for an already made for you rotisserie at the store. And what we're going to do, as you see, Zachary is pulling all of the chicken skins off. So we're going to take those, he's putting them on a lined tray, and we're going to make like a crispy chicken version of like a chicharron or like a pork rind. It's like really crispy and tasty. Zach says it tastes like bacon when it's done.
Yeah, I love it. It's my favorite part. So I like to eat them like chips or something, or just like bacon, snacking bacon. Literally tastes like bacon. And they're good for the dogs too. So
well, it is a lot of like seasoning, so like in sparingly.
Yeah.
It's a nice little treat for them. Which we have one right here. Mookie is has his little head in between the two of us. He smells all this good food that's happening up here. Which, as you see, he doesn't have the cone of shame on anymore. He's healed well from his neutering, although I don't know if he'll ever forgive us. But he's doing well. And I thought, oh, well, back to my point. We're not wasting any of the pieces of the chicken whatsoever. We are pulling all the chicken. I separate the white meat from the dark meat. The reason I do that is some in the family don't really like the dark meat, so I will use that for like soups, dishes where you're not like really seeing it up front. And then the white meat we'll use for other things. One of the dishes that we're making tonight and a few others that I have planned for throughout the week. We'll be using the white meat, and I will be freezing some as well. And then the bones all get put into one container and thrown into the freezer for when we're ready to make a good bone broth, which will be soon because, well, we're pretty well through most of our bone broth. And the wings, if you don't really want to like go through picking them, you can just throw those right in for the broth because that's just really tedious. So that's really what we're doing with the chicken. As far as like life update, I'm healing pretty well. Good report at my checkup. So we are hoping that sooner than later I'll be back in the mix. I'm really hoping sooner than later. But with all of that, I would like to ask you, Zachary. Oh, he's throwing chicken at me. So this is what you get for asking me questions.
Drumsticks are considered dark meat, right?
Yeah, those are dark meat. So I think that this has been a really eye-opening experience for you as far as being on the other side and seeing the mental load and workload that whoever the person in the house that handles all of the like day-to-day kitchen and all of that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I always knew that, what you do is like a lot and hard to manage and everything, and it's just I just don't know how you do it. Like just being on this side of it and just having to do a couple things, that you do and try to like plan and do all the thinking that goes into all the stuff that you do. It just makes you see how hard your job really is as a mom and like the leader of the household, and how much goes into it, and it just makes me appreciate you even more for everything that you do and everything that you do for the family, and keep all the gears turning and everybody moving forward constantly. It's just a lot of work. And I think, anybody who gets a chance to switch the roles in their household will definitely gain some appreciation for their spouse and everything that they do. And it's just, I just appreciate you a lot.
That's really sweet. So would you suggest that families like experiment and like try and switch roles for a few days?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think especially if like, there's, maybe some issues going on, and like, um, you know, arguments or things that like, where you're not seeing eye to eye with your partner. And
let's clarify, that's not us though.
No.
Like I enjoy doing all of these things.
Yeah, I mean, like, but if I think it's definitely like a psychological,
different perspective.
Yeah, it's a different perspective, and I think you can just definitely gain some appreciation for your partner and like everything that they do, and just switching up the roles. I mean, even though I do a lot of things that you don't do, like
which I got to experience.
Right. Yeah, so like you've got to experience what I do, and like you said that you thought it was easier and then it ended up being harder than you thought. Mm-hmm. And I feel the same way about what you do. Like, so you make it look easy, but when it comes down to it, it's like so much over my head, like compared to what I'm used to. Like all the thinking and the planning that goes into your side of things, I'm just not good at that kind of stuff. So we'll definitely gain some perspective and how hard it is to do what you do. And I definitely appreciate you even more now.
Are you excited for me to be able to be back at it?
Yes. Yes, I'm very excited for you to step back into your role.
So, with me being sidelined, I mean, I think that has affected all aspects of our house. I mean, it's not like we're talking about mainly like kitchen stuff. And obviously, every family needs to eat 3 times a day, typically, at least, especially if you're like us and have kids doing school from home or if you're working remotely. I mean, there's a lot of food that happens in our house. Just a lot. And especially like with us being multi-generational home, I mean, there's a lot that happens in our kitchen every day. And the fact, like right now we have an empty kitchen sink with no dishes in it. The dishwasher's running, but like that's a rarity because there's always something happening. And as we're speaking, we're making dishes. But not only the kitchen has been affected, like we do everything as a team typically. So all of our like starting of seeds has been pushed to the side. All of our transplanting, like everything has just come to like a screeching halt basically because of the time that we normally would be able to devote to these things together. Now Zachary is trying to pick up the pieces of the things that I can't do in our, day to day. And of course, I mean, the girls have been like amazing during this. And I can't be like any more proud of them of how they have like really picked up in doing things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Zachary has been at work. I mean, he works every day, typically 5 days a week, sometimes more. And when he's not home, our girls have stepped up and have been, taking care of their mama and doing the things around the house that I can't do, helping with the animals, all of these things that they've seen me doing all of these years and know what needed to be done. And they really didn't miss a beat, which made me really proud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've always known that they're pretty self-sufficient over the last couple of years, and they've been getting better and better as the years go on with their self-sufficiency. And if they didn't have anybody cooking for them, like they could figure it out and they could get it done and they could feed themselves even if we didn't have any input at all. Like they would be able to figure it out.
And there were nights where Isabella's still learning. She's still younger and she's still getting her skills. But there were nights where Angelina jumped in the kitchen and she made dinner for everyone before we even thought about it. So they're very willing to step up to the plate and help out wherever it's needed. And that's important too, because it takes a whole team to keep things running, especially in like a homesteading life.
Yeah.
But on some other things, we have not been the greatest of filming like seed starting even before this, or showing you like our growing areas. So show everyone our seed starts. We've experienced some different things this year with starting seeds and some not as great germination rates, which we think that was probably something on our end, or as seeds get older too, they have a lower germination percentage rate.
Mm-hmm.
But we did start a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of things going right now, and like Sam said, there was definitely some issues in the beginning that I haven't had issues like that in the past years. Like, I don't know if we've just been really lucky or just the sequence of events just were all right in the years past, and then this year maybe I did something a little different. But we definitely had some germination issues and some stunted seedlings. Um, Everything that's downstairs now seems to be recovered 100% and is, getting really big really fast. So I think we're out of the woods with what we have started already,
I think that's good.
but we're definitely behind on our starting things in general and our garden in general.
Yeah, we made a list. I'm gonna grab him another chicken here. You're doing really good. I made him a list of the things that we need to get started. And for reference, right now, I know I've said before, like most of the time when I publish our videos, they're like a week or two behind. But for reference, right now it is the end of April, and we are like way behind on things that we need to directly sow. Some things that we need to directly sow are like carrots, peas, spinach, radishes, chives, turnips, parsnips, arugula, beets, and then we are just in starting the window of needing to do our potatoes. And part of the reason why we are so behind is our tiller has been terrible this year.
Yeah, we have like an old Craftsman tiller.
That we bought secondhand.
Yeah, it's just a 4-time tiller, just a really small one, and it worked really good the first time I used it. But this year I couldn't even get it started for like an hour, and I finally got it started and took it down, and it just doesn't do well with the rocky soil that some sections have down there.
We have really rocky, like clay, heavy, dense soil.
Yeah. So like it doesn't get as deep as I'd like it to, and like it just takes so much more time than a good tiller would take. Like I literally have to sit over the same area like for over a minute to get it the way I want it. Mm-hmm. Which when you're doing 100-foot section, it's just so time consuming and just kind of ends up being a waste of time.
And if you haven't figured out by now, Zachary is a bit of a perfectionist, where I'd be like, good is good, and he's like, it's gotta be perfect. So we are planning on just breaking down and renting a big heavy duty one for a weekend and getting it done that way. Sometimes you just have to pick your battles, and this is one of them. We're not in any stage where we could invest in a large tiller because they're hefty expense.
Yeah, and honestly, we don't. The only time that I use a tiller, like we have our method of gardening is basically no till. But when I create a new garden bed,
which we expanded our garden this year, right. That's why we need to do that.
Right, there's a few beds that I have to actually make, and then in the original, design of a bed, I will till the ground and get the bed, up and running.
And you actually till in the mushroom.
Yeah, compost, then I'll till the ground, and then I'll till in mushroom compost, and then I'll top dress it with some more mushroom compost.
Mm-hmm. We get each garden season we get at least one truckload, which is how many cubic?
It's like 10 yards.
10 cubic yards of mushroom compost, and we then use that to help amend all of our beds. Yeah. And then you probably saw our shopping trip that we did and picked up all of that other soil, which we'll be using in our raised beds, because we have the plan of adding some additional raised beds this year. I know that we haven't shared with you all yet our onion video of us, or I should say of Zachary planting like 700 onions.
Yeah, unfortunately, when I took the video, I did it without Sam, and I went down and was talking and had the microphone and everything, and was doing my whole thing down there for hours, 2 different days. And as I was finishing, I was looking back over their videos to see like how I was gonna plan out the editing, and there was no sound on any of the videos. I have my microphone on, but I didn't actually turn the microphone on. So the whole time I was doing everything was totally without any sound. I'm just talking and there's just no sound. And so the thought of having to voice over all those videos is just daunting. So
It's heartbreaking. Like I have to, there's a little green light, and I'm like, I always look for it because I'm like paranoid about this because we had a video where Isabella was baking and she was talking and she had her microphone on. And at some point through it, the battery must have died and then it stopped collecting all of her audio. And I had an instance where apparently I didn't have like connected right to the camera or something, and it happened to me too. So if you are someone who like uses a microphone and if you create content of any kind, I'm sure that you've experienced this and the heartbreaking feeling of
yeah,
I just did all of that.
yeah, it's like you just did all that for what? And then you have to figure out how to voice over it, and it's just a pain in the butt.
Yes, yes, and very disheartening. But if I mean, maybe we can just publish that with a few tidbits and some information. That way, people can at least get an idea.
Yeah.
But in any event, Zachary planted like 700 onions. We have, is it 7 beds full or 6 beds full?
7 or 6.
I think it's 6, and then we have the other one for the garlic.
Right.
So we have like 6 full, and they are what,
6 by 3.
6 by 3, 6 by 3 raised beds of onions, and then we have one of those filled with garlic. So we use a ton of onions in our cooking. I think almost everything I make, onions go into. Can't go wrong with the flavor of onion. And then we preserve a lot of onion as well with our caramelized onions and our balsamic onion jam, which everyone loves, and that's always a good mix-in for lots of recipes. And then French onion soup. So onions don't go bad around here. Even during the pantry challenge, we had an onion set to the side that was kind of starting to sprout some greens, and that was like a cheat for me of being able to harvest those green onions off the top of it during our pantry challenge. So we are definitely fans of onions. So you have all of those starting. We have the garlic. We have some of the herbs coming back, and we will be growing more herbs, of course. And we have plans for big expansion down there. We started downstairs in our growing area. We started with like 200 tomatoes, right? A bunch of different varieties of tomatoes with cherry tomatoes and beefsteak tomatoes, good paste tomatoes, some massive paste tomatoes that I'm really excited for. And we did all kinds of peppers, hot peppers, sweet peppers, seasoning peppers. Did we start celery downstairs?
Yes.
Celery.
That's one of the things that didn't germinate very well. And we have some celery, but we could definitely use more.
And I think this is one of those things, like, there's no shame in the game. If you start something and it doesn't work, obviously starting things from seeds, you know from seed to harvest what is there. But if you run into a situation, like I know that when this started and we weren't able to keep after it and start the seeds, like I felt guilt for that because like this is what we're doing, this is what we're sharing. But in reality, I mean, it's still the modern times. If we can't get it done, we can always go and get a start from a local farm or someone that we know. I mean, we're blessed in that the area that we live, there's lots of options to get starts. So we always have that option as well. I cannot believe how expensive, though, starts have become at the big box stores.
Oh, yeah, that's just insane. I mean, last year we were complaining and we couldn't believe the prices. And I think they were like
$3.98
yeah,
or
$4 or
$4.98.
$5 last year, and then this year they're up to $7.
Like for one plant.
Yeah,
Like,
like it's just crazy. Like it's almost not even worth for people to buy starts.
There's no way that to, even on our scale, to be able to, if you think, what, 200 tomato plants at $7, what, like $1,400? Am I doing that math correctly that quickly? I think so.
I have something up
But
there.
it's like outrageous.
Yeah.
And on 200 tomatoes, if we just grew from a couple, that's probably like less than 10 packets of seeds if you use the whole thing. And seeds, what? Even at the high end, like $5 a packet, $50 to start like 200 tomatoes. That's crazy. How could you, like, I don't know how anyone can go to a big box store and have a large garden. I just don't think that that is possible.
No, it's just not feasible like that anymore.
Mm-mm.
So I think that's part of the reason why there's such a seed buying influx this year and last year, because the prices at the stores are just, they're not feasible for people anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the reason why the seed starting revolution has begun, and I think people are just, ready to try gardening on their own and seed starting.
And we live relatively close to big box stores like Home Depot and Lowe's. And we will often, on our day out doing errands, walk around the garden center, and I am drawn always to the dying plants of the clearance
in the
section.
clearance section.
I'm like right to the clearance section. I'm like, what plants are dying today? But they never ever put into that section any of their veggie, fruit, any of those kind of starts. They never make it there. They will let them sit outside and die before they will mark them down. And I hate that. It is terrible. But it's the reality. So if you are in a situation like we are finding ourselves in this year where we're going to have to purchase some starts, I highly suggest trying to find someone local. Look on like Facebook Marketplace. We've found some like great plant starts on there of someone who was starting them and then they ended up having too much and were selling, as well as like just checking out your local like flea market if there's one. A lot of times there will be people there, or a local greenhouse that is selling. So be resourceful if you find yourself in a situation like we are. And there's no shame in that, right?
Yeah, there's plenty of places to buy starts. Like, like you said, like there's always small mom and pop places and small greenhouses, and the Mennonites always have good prices at their greenhouses. So even though the big box stores are selling them for $7 a piece, you could probably get anything the same at a local greenhouse or a farm for $2 a piece. So you just gotta know where to look.
And you have to be crafty too. If you're going to buy starts, you always look at them, and like we will hunt for the one that has like 2 starts in it.
Yeah, that's the thing about the big box stores, because like they're notorious for overseeding their start trays. So there's always ones that have like 4 in one spot instead of 1. So if you're gonna buy starts at a big box store, you want to try to get the sale. Find the day that they're on sale. Like at ours, I think it's what, 2 for $10 or 3 for $10.
There's 2 for $10 right now on their little like 9.
It's a 9-pack, 9-cell pack, and then if you can get a 9-cell that has 2 or 3 per cell, then that's kind of a good deal.
That's a good deal. Yeah, especially if it's something that you're already past your window of being able to start.
Right.
And I mean, realistically, the beauty of most of the vegetables that we're facing that are beyond us being able to like start right now for a summer harvest, like broccoli or cabbage, we can still do a fall planting of those for a late harvest. Just kind of changes up the plans. And realistically, that's the kind of attitude that you have to have in life, really, but especially as a homesteader, to be like, okay, well, we might have failed at this one, but we're going to try again and be resourceful and just keep going. But I have some doggies here that are ready to go outside, and it is a rainy, muddy day. So I'm going to put Zachary on a quick little time lapse for you all, and I'm going to take these guys out. As you can see here, this is our kitty girl. And she's all healed up from her surgery that she had on her ear, so she's ready to go outside.
What's up, Pee-wee? You gotta go potty. Let's go potty. Do it.
All right, so on to the next chore. You know what I'm making?
Chicken, broccoli, cheesy bake.
Yeah. So Zach finished pulling all the chicken, and I started to gather ingredients. And so we are kind of winging this. I've seen some like recipe inspirations, and I make pretty often like a cheesy broccoli rice soup, which is so good. So I'm kind of basing the flavor profile on that and some shortcuts. In short, I'll bring you in here so you can all see this, but we're going to put a little bacon grease in here because we need some fat to this. We are using a half pint of our caramelized onion balsamic jam to give it some good depth of flavor quickly. Some lemon pepper, some slap your mama, garlic powder, onion powder, a little bit of ranch. This is always like my hidden little taste of something that is real good in a dish. Some parsley. Of course, we need some chicken broth so that the rice can cook. We have rice, we have a little chicken bouillon, we have some shredded cheese, and then, of course, broccoli. And a hungry doggy, apparently.
I know. I know. Oh, stop it. You want a piece of chicken?
He smells all this yumminess, and our hunter boy is, what, 15 now? So he thinks he rules, and he just tells us what to do. So let me bring you all in here so you can see what's going to go into this, and we'll throw some measurements around, roughly.
I know. Yes.
Okay. So the plan is we're going to mix it all in our giant cauldron bowl here, and then we'll see how many casseroles it ends up.
I know.
I'm going to have to put you in a crate.
Hey, you stop it.
We're going to see how many casseroles it actually ends up making. My thought is 2, maybe 3. We're going to be heavy-handed on the broccoli. So in here we have 4 cups of rice, and we have roughly 3 to 4 tablespoons of chicken bouillon. So I'm going to hand the measurement over to Zachary. I would say 2 tablespoons of ranch.
You said 3, right?
I wish you could all see the cheeky little look he just gave me. Not so good at following directions there, sir. We're going to do 2 tablespoons of onion powder. And the same with the garlic. Some of these I've gotten pretty good at opening one-handed, but not all of them. And we're going to do the same measurement of the garlic, 2 tablespoons. We're going to give it a little something extra in here with 1 tablespoon of lemon pepper.
Can I put this
That's
in there?
fine. Yep. Okay. And then we're also going to do about a tablespoon of Slap Your Mama seasoning. All right, so those are in. Oh, can't forget the parsley. I would do, we're getting low on parsley. Do 3 tablespoons. Just roughly. Perfect. We're going to do a good swirl of some black pepper. And we're going to put a whole thing of onion jam in. I just heated it just slightly in the microwave to liquefy it a little bit so it incorporates better in the dish. I am not pre-cooking the rice before putting this in the oven. My goal is that we're putting enough liquid in it that it will do everything right in the oven. Okay. And then in here, there's a little ladle. I'm gonna do, I have some bacon grease here from making bacon this morning. I'm gonna say that's probably about 3 tablespoons, that one ladle. I think that's about accurate. So we're going to do just 2 ladles of this. And then we have 3 cans of condensed cream of chicken soup.
Those smell good.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's what cream of chicken soup always smells a little chickeny. And while Zachary is scooping those, I'm going to see if I can manage to not spill the cheese everywhere. I want to do 4 cups of shredded cheddar. Other bag. The chicken piece.
That's not chicken.
Yeah, that's like cartilage. Now, of course, you can make this with your own homemade cream of any kind of soup, really, but this is a quick, easy one. That's good. You don't have to be that perfect with it. cheese all over, but I did it.
How much creamier Campbell's is compared to the other ones.
Yeah, the other one is Aldi's off-brand. That should be good. And then we want to do roughly 4 cups of the pulled chicken and see how that looks. That's not a white meat piece. Whether you're getting a treat after all.
I wish I would have shredded this a little finer.
I think this is good. Okay. And then we are going to mix this all together, and we're going to put in the 2 things of chicken broth I have here. So I have a pint and I have a quart of chicken broth. So that all needs to get combined together. And the broccoli. You probably want to slowly start working your broth in so it's not like just laying on top of the rest of everything. And it'll help distribute your seasoning as well. That's home canned chicken broth. Does that smell better than the store-bought cream of chicken?
Mm-hmm.
Smelling good.
I don't know if we're going to need both of these.
You will, because the rice is raw right now. You need enough for it to cook thoroughly, or it will be hard. Yep. Slide over a little bit, Zachary. All right, so we did end up making some changes. We ended up adding 4 more cups of chicken to it, and we added in all the broccoli as you saw. How many cups would you say that was probably?
Of broccoli?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I was watching. I would say it's about 4. It was like 3 big hearty heads of broccoli. And as you see, Zachary spoils our chickens because he chops everything up real small that's going out to them. So he's just buttering up our casserole dish now. We're gonna see exactly how much this ends up making. We didn't change the seasoning or anything. I didn't add any additional salt because I think that there's gonna be more than enough salt from all of the cheese, the jam, the seasonings without adding salt specifically. So I think that should be good. We just mainly don't want it to stick to the bottom. And then this one feels a little dusty. One thing when you have a coal heat in your home, you will always have dust. We'll definitely need that one. I'm not sure if we'll need this one, so we'll see. But we are going to make this large one for tonight. The girls were away for the weekend, so whenever they're away from the weekend, we always try and make a big dinner on Sunday night so they can come home and get back to their normal schedule.
Because they're usually famished.
Hungry girls are what? Miserable.
Yep.
Zachary knows there's like 5 minutes from the time that any of us say like we're really hungry until we're like a completely different creature. He's been dealing with my wrath as I've not been able to do for myself.
Okay.
All right. So let's just set the butter to the side for a second to see if we're going to need it or not. But we're going to, you should wash your hands.
Need a napkin. Whoa.
All right, so we're going to do like 3/4 of the way full on the casserole dish. That way it, do you want like a scooper?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to do it with my hand.
Okay. You know, I might actually be able to do this part. Feel like I'm actually doing something besides ordering you around.
Looks good though.
It smells good. I say that's always like my telltale sign that I'll know right away if something's going to be good before it's even cooked is if it smells good as you're mixing it together. Thank you. Teamwork. So this is not what is it? Typically like 9 by 13. This is a like 11 by 15 almost, I think. So that looks good. Now, I will say one thing. I would love to put like a Ritz crackery topping kind of crust on here. But Angelina very adamantly hates Ritz cracker topping. So I won't do that, but I will put more cheddar cheese on here after this has time to bake. But this has to get wrapped in entirety in tin foil. And then, do you want to slide that one over for me? And if you can hold that for me again. Now, the key with this, with having the rice raw, is that you have to cover it. It needs to be completely covered with tin foil and almost like sealed to allow it to cook in the
steam.
Yeah, to steam in the casserole dish. Some people for casseroles will use like minute rice, which is like parboiled, so that cooks quicker. I am not using minute rice, one, because I don't use minute rice often and we don't have it. Typically, if I'm using it for something, I'll buy that specifically. And I've also seen, if you're like intimidated by doing this kind of like scratch kind of thing, if you have like the Knorr instant rice packets, like the chicken or like the broccoli cheddar or any of those things, and something that you want to use up in your pantry, or it's something that you have on hand all the time, you could sub that in for the rice portion, and that would give it lots of good flavor, and just adjust your seasonings from there. looks good. Perfect. Zachary's the perfectionist.
Yeah.
Gotta make sure it's all perfectly level. There's always two in a relationship because you're the perfectionist. I'm like, oh, that's good. Just throw it in. It's all about balance. As you level the other one out perfectly. So this one, we're going to do a double wrap of saran wrap and tinfoil. Tinfoil first and then saran wrap over. And this is going to go right into the freezer. And then this will be able to cook right from defrosted and in the oven. So work once and have dinner twice.
Awesome.
Yeah. And this one, we got to do the tinfoil. So let's get that done. And then we got to work on our dessert.
I'm eating the chicharrones.
That is not what they're called. Is it hot?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, let's show everyone. So we just put these in the oven at 350 degrees on a like a wire rack over a cookie sheet. As we see, Zachary is enjoying them. I've not tried these when we made them last time. You and the dog ate them on. It tastes just like bacon. That's good. Well, I can't really give you any advice if you do this, how long they would last. The last time they lasted a few hours and they were gone. So I would say to store these in a container in the fridge, but they might get a little soggy. You might have to like toast it up again, but this was a really quick kind of guilty pleasure snack. And no waste. No waste at all. Alright, so we have to move on to dessert before we eat all these. It's a little warm.
Are you recording now?
Yes.
Okay, so this was a lemon blueberry loaf that Sam picked up at Costco. It was $8.99, so it was $9, and
it was disappointing.
It was supposed to be a nice impulse buy for dessert, and as you can see, it was sampled and it's just very dry on the inside. So I guess what the plan is, we're gonna cut it into squares, and then we're gonna layer it in the casserole dish that we have left over, and then we're gonna make a delicious glaze to go on top.
Yes, so it's gonna have lots of moisture in that glaze that this is severely lacking. And originally I was gonna do just squares of it, like little bites. Think of like a cake bite, and then put the glaze over, and it could be like individual little poppers. But the day is very quickly disappearing, and girls will be home before we know it, and hungry. So we need to get this
expedited.
Yes. So while Zachary is putting those in there nicely, and you're just gonna do like flat as well as you can, yeah. I'm gonna start telling you about the glaze. Now, a powder sugar glaze is one of the easiest, most versatile things that I have used over the years for many things. I mean, cinnamon buns, cookies. I mean, you name it, any kind of like sweet you can do. Powdered sugar glaze. It looks pretty, it tastes delicious, and you can never go wrong. And in this case, it's going to save that really dry loaf.
It actually feels kind of moist on this end a little bit. You can even see there's some moisture in there.
Well, that side was really dry.
Should I take this piece and put it on the corner piece there?
That'll work. That was almost perfect.
Okay.
All right, maybe we can actually just cut that one off and we can taste a little sample because I'm hungry. Yeah. We skipped lunch.
You could even put like a little milk in there.
Well, the glaze will do it.
Okay.
The wheels are turning in Zachary's head. The squirrels are squirreling right now. All right, so we're gonna do powdered sugar. I never really measure this. I just do this by eye.
That's a lot.
Oh yeah, it quickly disappears. So I'm gonna need you to step in here because that's about all I can do, I think. So we need a little baby whisk. We've had a whisk fatality, so so this will work. All right. So we have some dried lemon peel. You could certainly use fresh lemon zest. I'm just kind of cheating here. If I can even get that open. And we have some lemon extract. I raided Angelina's baking cabinet for this. No one tell her. See if I can open it.
Just a little bit.
I would say roughly a tablespoon. Lemon extract always smells so good to me. That looks good. Yep. And then we're going to just a big swirl of that. And we have my home canned blueberry syrup. That is going to be our liquid.
This was open?
This was open. Yep. This was in the fridge from Easter. So the key here is that you can only do very little at a time because this will quickly turn into straight liquid. Okay? So pour a little bit. Actually, pause. I want everyone to see how this comes together. All right, you're perfect right there.
Now we're making a mess.
Huh?
Now we're making a mess.
All right, so you gently whisk, and I will pour. I think you're tilting away from the camera, sir. Trying to get your edges worked in there. Have you ever made a powdered sugar glaze?
No.
No? This I learned at the second restaurant I ever worked at when I was in high school. I wasn't even 18 yet. I was just a baby. I don't even think I was 16 yet.
Just a wee little baby.
All right, so based on how much liquid and moisture we want this to bring, I am going to put the rest of this syrup in. And it's such a beautiful color.
Yeah, this is nice.
Now we've used our blueberry syrup. I'm staining the counter. We've used our blueberry syrup for so many things already. For making lemonade, for having with pancakes, for various desserts, as a mix-in, and now it gets to shine in this lemony blueberry dream glaze. I think that looks delish.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So we're gonna need a
Spatula. Spatula.
And maybe let's sneak a taste of that. See what we think.
Mm.
Good?
That's good.
Is that good lemon and blueberry?
Hint of lemon.
All right. So I'm going to just reposition this. All right. So now we get to dress it beautifully. Just do a little bit on each and work your way around. That way you make sure that you cover it in its entirety. Oh, you want? So we could have a little sample here, Zachary. Let me get a little plate. Hunter, do you think you're getting a sample? Or even have you over there? Break that bowl real good. All right, so these are going to get set to chill, like a nice cold glazed loaf cake. Yeah. So that'll chill, and all the moisture will soak into those real good. And Zachary and I are going to cheat here and have a quick little sample, like a little creep. So there's our little sample piece. You can all see that, and I will flop that right off of your hand if I try and do that one handed. Set it on the counter. So obviously this hasn't had any time to like soak in at all, but still, I would bet that it's a big improvement.
Oh yeah.
What do you think?
Oh.
And this was an end piece too, so this would be like the driest.
Yummy.
I just love a good citrusy glaze. You can never go wrong with putting orange peel, or orange zest, lemon juice, any of that in a glaze like this. It makes it so fresh and bright. I better hurry up or I'm not going to get a second bite.
It's just fresh and bright. Very delicious.
And you made your first glaze. Now you know how to do it.
I'm a mess too.
Yeah, powdered sugar glaze is always a mess. So let's get this cleaned up and see what else we have left on our list to do.
All right.
Tell us what you're working on, Zachary.
I am working on cleaning all of our eggs.
Okay, so this was in the oven for 1 hour at 350 degrees, completely sealed, and as you see, the rice looks perfect. So now we are just topping it with some cheddar cheese and putting it back in the oven. So we'll show you a finished plate once this is all done.
Smells yummy.
Well, guys, I started today saying that it was my worst nightmare to be sitting on the sidelines and have Zachary being the cook, but it was a really good day.
Yeah, it was.
I really enjoyed being in the kitchen with you, and I think you learned a few tricks.
Yeah, it was fun.
And it looks like we have a really delicious dinner here to have. The girls just got home, and of course, because we were prepped and ready to have dinner right away, they had eaten not too long before getting here, so it'll be a little bit later. But this looks delicious. Zachary put the dishes in, so we have an empty sink. All the eggs are washed. We have another one of these in the freezer for another day. We have dessert for tonight. We have 3 like gallon-sized bags of pulled chicken for various recipes throughout the week. And am I forgetting anything? Oh, we have all of the bones to make bone broth in the freezer. All of the doggies had a delicious treat of chicken broth with their food and fresh egg, and of course the chicken skin toppers that taste like bacon. So they're all happy and fat and about to snooze for a while. But I really thank you for taking the time to spend the day with me.
Had fun.
And I thank you all for joining us. We're going to have dinner because, like I said, we skipped lunch and this smells delicious. So thanks as always for joining us in the kitchen.
Yep. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
That looks really good. The rice looks like it is nice and fluffy.
Looks perfect.
Looks good.
Yummy, yummy.
Scrum diddly yum yum.
Scrum diddly yum yum.